Well, we take you now to the latest on the coronavirus outbreak, where there are new concerns that it could spark a shortage in wedding gowns. Many manufacturers had to temporarily shut down because of the virus. And the American Bridal and Prom Industry Association says 80% of the world's Western-style gowns are actually produced in China. Customized dresses may also be delayed as the virus remains uncontained in mainland China. Meanwhile, South Korea is one of multiple countries where infections have skyrocketed recently. Globally, over 79,000 people have been infected and more than 2,600 people have died. CBS News Asia correspondent Ramy Inocencio is joining us now from a military base near the epicenter of the outbreak in South Korea. So, Ramy, why, this huge spike in numbers in South Korea? What are you learning?
Right. So right now what we're hearing, Anne-Marie, is that there is basically this religious sect called Shincheonji, which has more than half of the infections that have been occurring really over just the past 4 or 5 days. This is, of course, a major concern because since Friday until now, that number has nearly quadrupled. And now we're even just getting news that out of that U.S. military base, just a few miles away from where we are right now, is that the first U.S. case, the first U.S.-linked case to the military here has now been confirmed with a coronavirus infection. We're hearing right now that this person might be a widower of a deceased soldier, but that has yet been confirmed by the official military. But that is what we're hearing here. But what we do know for sure is that looking ahead, infections will continue to rise, as will the death toll.
Here in South Korea's city of Daegu, the country's 4th biggest, coronavirus cases have quadrupled since Friday. Empty streets have become the new normal for this city of 2.5 million residents. Daegu is also home to more than 2,500 U.S. military servicemen and women. CBS News was granted access to the U.S. Army garrison here, with temperature screenings and the same questions for all visitors.
Can I take everybody's temperature? Yeah.
And today, a first for the U.S. military in Korea. A 61-year-old woman linked to an American soldier at this base has now tested positive for coronavirus. Colonel Edward Blanco is the face of the base, giving health and personnel updates on Facebook Live.
On a personal level, how are you feeling with the situation outside?
I'm nervous, but I feel confident, too. The coronavirus is really harsh on people who are vulnerable. Our population relative to the regular population is not vulnerable. Still, though, we're all nervous about it.
Meanwhile, in the U.S., people are protesting against plans to quarantine patients in California and Alabama from the virus-stricken Diamond Princess cruise ship anchored in Yokohama, Japan. The Trump administration backed off plans for Alabama, but is confident in the country's response to a potential outbreak.
We have the greatest doctors in the world. We have it very much under control.
All right, Ramy, so what is the Korean government doing about the outbreak? How are they handling this?
Sure. Well, right now, President Moon Jae-in has been issuing alerts saying that the country is now under a red alert, basically the highest possible level in terms of trying to control this epidemic. Now, what does that do? That actually gives the government the power to lock down cities if it deems necessary. Now, here in Daegu, which is basically the epicenter of the coronavirus here in South Korea, this is not under a lockdown just yet, but it is under an unofficial state of emergency. Now, what they're trying to do, they're trying to contain the number of infections here in the city, but there are also infections happening elsewhere in the country. Every single province and many major cities also have this, but they're trying to contain it here. And the mayor of Daegu, I talked to him earlier today at a press conference. He said that this week is the do or die week on whether this epidemic gets contained or whether it explodes across the country.
And we've also seen, some spikes in other countries too, Iran, Italy. What can you tell us about how they are responding to the outbreak?
Sure. Different responses in both countries. For example, the word cover-up comes up with regards to Iran. For example, the official death toll stands at 12, but there are allegations from some lawmakers that could be quadruple that number and up to 50. Now, the government has pushed back against that, but the schools have all been shut for the 2nd day in a row, and border security has been beefed up around Iran's neighbors in order to try to curb people from leaving the country. As for Italy, the word there is lockdown, especially in northern Italy. About 50,000 people are affected in about 12 towns and villages in that region because of what's happening there. In addition, rail service has been cut to some parts of the region. For example, Austria, for at least a couple hours, cut rail service into the country because of the fear that there were 2 passengers coming from Italy into Austria had the coronavirus. They did come back negative, but it really is a testament to the fear that it could spread not just here in Korea, not just in China, but in Iran and Italy and elsewhere in the world.
Right. Ramy, thank you very much.